Alright, what's up everybody? Welcome back to more 428 Shibuya Scramble. My name is Raven from the Sky, and let's continue. Alright, while he booted up the laptop, that is, he tried to get a handle on the current situation. Where are the folks from the loan company? He asked. They're here, Chiaki said. I have them waiting downstairs. Do they know Toyama's dead? I'm sorry, I kind of let that slip. What about Hannah? I'm not sure. I haven't heard from her since she called earlier. The tiny side, Minokawa started typing at his laptop. By some miracle, his 6 pages of the copy were nearly wrapped up. Still, he needed to do whatever it took to see this job through to the end. What will serve as his final tribute to Toyama's memory. He loaded his copy into the DTB software in order to set the layout. Bit by bit, actual magazine articles begin to take shape. Oh boy, then the editing department door swung open. Hey, snarled the young man who barged in first. Kicked over a stack of books. How long are you gonna keep us waiting, huh? Honestly, Sagawa, must you be so rowdy? A middle-aged man stepped in alongside him. Are you Mr. Minokawa then? He added as his eyes fixed on the journalist. He held out his business card. A pleasure to meet you. I'm Asao Ozu from Takarada Financing, a black market lending firm that offers loans at an interest rate above what the law allows, well known for taking whatever steps necessary to collect what's owed. His business card slogan, got bad credit, but you need a loan? Call anytime. We'll put together a loan that suits your needs. My deepest sympathies about Mr. Toyama. However, I'm afraid that we do need you to give us back the money we loaned. Despite his polite tone, the threat in his voice was plain. Look, next month's issue of 4-Star Journal Gossip is definitely coming out. Couldn't you please wait for repayment until we have the funds from those sales? Minokawa asked. That was exactly what Toyama's plan had been after all. Well, we certainly aren't monsters. The magazine is going to be making you money. We wouldn't mind delaying another month. A month, I said mouth. You really mean it? Chiaki chirped. To clarify, that would be the case if Toyama were still alive. Releasing the next issue is all well and good, but with Toyama gone, so too is the company. That will make full repayment of what we're owed impossible, I expect. Then what do you want us to do? Minokawa asked coldly. How about we just cut to the chase, growled the younger man, Sagawa. Dig out your ears and listen up. Chiaki recoiled in a panic, and Minokawa held up an interposing hand. Knock it off, he said. You're scaring the young lady. A thin smile came to Ozu's face. All we want to know is where Mr. Toyama's daughter is. Yeah, that's right, Sagawa said. Tell us where the girl is. No way, Chiaki squealed in protest. Hana's just a little kid. She doesn't have any responsibility to pay back the... Ozu didn't let her finish. We're aware of that. Nevertheless, we'd still like to know where she is. The law didn't matter right now. Guys like this had all sorts of ways of wringing money out of people. It was clear from the looks on their faces that Ozu and Sagawa had some wicked scheme up their sleeve. Unless, of course, you would prefer to take on Toyama's debts, Mr. Minokawa. You are quite the accomplished reporter after all. Take on his debts, huh? Minokawa didn't know how much Toyama had borrowed, but it only took one look at these guys to tell him it was no small sum. How about it? Ozu asked. The way you land scoop after scoop, I'm sure you'll be able to repay us in full before you die. Minokawa fiercely returned his stare. All right, I'll take on the debt. I'll consider it. Could you give me some time? Can't we just call it even? Not with these loan sharks. And their black market too. C is out the question, so it's either A or B. Oh my God. I feel like B is out because it's their loan sharks. Give you time. You don't have any more time. So I'm going to go with A. All right. I'll take on the debt. Minokawa's tone was resolute. But not just yet. Let me finish up this job here first. Very well. I suppose we can wait at least a little while longer. The two men from Takarada Financing plunked themselves down on the editing department sofa. Mr. Mino, please, you can't agree to something like this. If I don't, these guys are just going to keep threatening poor little Hannah. But still, that's none of your concern, he said. I need to know how's your piece on those street interviews coming? I mean, what I need to know. I kind of completely skipped what. What I need to know is how's your piece on those street interviews coming? But, I mean, those guys, they said it doesn't matter if the issue comes out or not. Don't be ridiculous. When a professional agrees to take on a job, they see it through to the end. Chiaki took his point and scampered to grab the printout of her copy. Minokawa gave it a quick once-over. He saw immediately that the piece was lacking in structure. He then read the article a second time, checking the finer details. Several off-theme sentences jumped out at him. This is no good. Rewrite it. He thrust the printout back at Chiaki. Yes, sir. She bowed her head and retreated to another desk. The TV was still on. A news broadcaster's voice suddenly broke through the silence, as well as Minokawa's concentration. We're live on the scene now, where an explosion in Shibuya has... Minokawa gazed blankly at the screen. He found his mind drifting to a particular memory of Toyama. The door looked like it might fall apart at any moment, but Minokawa didn't care. He pounded on it as hard as he could. The Toyama nameplate popped off and fell to the floor. It was hard to believe this dilapidated apartment was the home of a newspaper editor who worked his way up from reporter. Hey, Toyama, get your ass out here. The sound of Minokawa's angry shouting. Other tenants on the floor poked their heads out of their rooms to stare. He paid them no need, continuing to call out. Eventually, Toyama opened the door, dressed in his sweats and undershirt. Quiet down, you moron, he snapped. Come on in. I hear you tendered your letter of resignation at the paper. Minokawa sat cross-legged on the tammy-covered floor. Tell me why. Toyama quirked a lopsided grin. You want to know why I quit, huh? All right. Lean in close. Minokawa peered at him dubiously. Huh? Why? I don't want anyone overhearing this. Resigned, Minokawa leaned forward and turned his right ear toward Toyama. The man's warm breath against his cheek was pretty unsettling. At first, he had trouble concentrating on Toyama's story, but when the older man got to the crux of the matter, he found himself listening with rapt attention. By the time Toyama finished, Minokawa was unable to suppress his shock. You're starting your own publishing company? Not so loud, darn it. Toyama shushed him with a finger to his lips. He looked around warily as if there might be spies in his own apartment. Right, but a publishing company, Minokawa said again, more quietly this time. What are you doing for your distributor account? All booksellers were required to use a wholesale distributor to circulate their publication. This game is a trip, man. To do business with such a distributor, a publisher needed a specialized distributor account. They're not going to let a company with no track record open a new account with a distributor. I'm sure you must realize that. Toyama grinned, a proud gleam in his eyes. You know, that's why I bought one. He bought one. A ghost account belonging to a publisher that went bankrupt. Distributor accounts could go for tens of millions of yen. There was no way Toyama could afford that on his severance pay alone. He must have taken out a loan in order to make the purchase. Yup. So that's... Oh, wow. Millions of yen. But the publishing industry was in a slump nowadays. People just weren't buying books that much anymore. They're not. Everything's digital. With Kindles and reading stuff online, and when you can, it's everything's digital. They're not. Starting up a new publishing company was a beyond risky endeavor. It is. And I've already decided on a name for my company, Minokawa. That's just like with movies. If you I'm gonna start my own movie rental service. Not to be mean, but Netflix is killing that. It's all about Blockbuster. Y'all remember that? Y'all remember Blockbuster? It was the movie rental giant back in the day. That and what was the competition? Y'all remember Hollywood Video? Netflix done just killed all that. It's digital. Streaming. And I've already decided on a name for my company, Minokawa. Toyama's face was positively beaming. Get this. Heaven Publishing. Heaven? That sounds fatalistic. The idea is that the people who work for me will feel like they're in paradise. For all his vetching about keeping quiet, Toyama was now exclaiming pretty loudly himself. I mean, I can appreciate your willingness to take the risk, but surely your wife must have had objections, Minokawa said. Toyama fell silent. He opened up the refrigerator. Minokawa took a peek inside. The shelves were mournfully spare, holding little besides beer cans and drinking snacks. The missus left me. Took our daughter with her. Those scant few words painted the picture clearly enough. But no more sob stories, he went on. He briskly cracked open his own can of beer. Weak foam bubbled from the top. Cheers, Minokawa, to Heaven Publishing's big debut. He cast everything aside and was striving for a new beginning. If the man had braced himself for the challenge, it wasn't Minokawa's place to tell him he was making a mistake. Dude, I love this game. It's a breath of fresh air from the meta of the mainstream AAA titles that everyone plays on YouTube. Even if it was an uphill battle, he had little chance of winning. Congrats, Mr. Toyama. Minokawa pulled the tab on his beer can. Cheers. The two of them clacked their cans together. One year had passed since Toyama founded Heaven Publishing. Minokawa poked his head into the editing office, a bag from the convenience store in hand. Hey boss, how's business? How does it look like it's doing? Toyama sat amidst a veritable mountain of returned stock, his expression bleak. A veritable mountain of, oh my God. Bookstores do not purchase the books they sell, but rather take them on consignment. What? This allows them to return to the publisher any books that don't sell. Wow. All this time I thought they purchased the books. The books were all bulky, non-fiction tomes. Not exactly the sort to fly off shelves. The man couldn't even muster a smile for their reunion. It's been like this for every non-fiction book we've put out. Wow. Starting right off with the bleak stuff, huh? Cause things are bleak. The only thing that's selling is this gossip rag of ours. Minokawa pulled some beer cans from his bag, handing one to Toyama. Toyama lifted an issue of 4-star general gossip from atop his desk. It was Heaven Publishing's one breadwinner, the only thing keeping the company afloat. But the gossip now seemed like it was buried in the rest of the publisher's non-fiction releases. I really did have higher aspirations than this, Toyama sighed, gazing in disappointment at the piles of unsold books. But here we are, with our gossip magazine as our only viable publication. The belly-geared bookseller chugged his beer. Daddy, I'm hungry. Minokawa was startled to hear a young child's voice. He turned around to see a little girl nestled between the stacks of returned stock. That's my daughter, Hannah, Toyama said. It's complicated, but she's living with me now. I see. Minokawa couldn't press for more details with Hannah right there. In all likelihood, things with Toyama's ex-wife hadn't been going well. Go on. Introduce yourself, Toyama said. This is one of Daddy's work friends. Hannah returned to Minokawa with a bright little grin. Hello, my name's Hannah. I'm 6. You want some of this? Minokawa held out a packet of dried squid he brought to go with the beers. Sure. Hannah greedily stuffed her cheeks with the squid. Toyama flashed a sheepish grin. Do you like living with your daddy, Hannah? Minokawa asked, giving the girl's hair a gentle ruffle. I do. My daddy's amazing. He runs a company. Toyama let out a tiny involuntary sob at his daughter's ready praise. I'll keep at it, Toyama said, looking into his daughter's smiling face. Hannah is more important to me than any high aspirations I might have had. I'll keep shoveling out copies of the gossip. And at least make sure she's always got something good to eat. Daddy, this is really tasty. Hannah held up the pouch of dried squid. Tears welled in Toyama's eyes. Next time I'll make sure she has some sashimi instead of something like this. Hey, what do you mean, something like this? Minokawa grumbled. I'm the one who bought it. Toyama and his daughter laughed together. It was a heartwarming sight, Minokawa thought, a father and his girl getting along so well. Toyama might have been a hard-hitting journalist, but when he came home at the end of the day, he was just daddy. It was only natural for the man as a father to put child above anything else. After gorging herself on snacks, Hannah fell asleep on the sofa looking well and truly satisfied. You know, Minokawa, Hannah's happiness means more to me than my lofty artistic ideals ever could. Toyama kept his voice low as he regarded his daughter's sleeping face. And from that day forward, Having Publishing has shifted its focus to scandal rags with 4-star general gossip as its pillar. Had that been for good or for ill? Whatever the case, Toyama had abandoned his pride. Minokawa had watched him become more and more of a miserable wretch. Minokawa snapped back into the present as a sheaf of pages appeared in front of his face. Here you go, Chiaki said, radiating anxiety. Right. Minokawa gave her a copy, a close read over, and then thrust it back out to her. What did you even fix? He asked. Could you please tell me what parts are wrong? She mumbled, hanging her head. What are you talking about? It's just, well, we don't have a lot of time here, so I figured I just fixed the part that needed fixing. Chiaki trailed off into an indistinct mutter. Is that always how you go about fixing your copy? Yes. Then you're never going to get any better. Someone tells you it's no good, you rewrite the whole thing from scratch. Just making fiddly tweaks here and there is what an amateur does. Chiaki dipped her head even deeper, cringing at the reprimand. Minokawa let out a tiny sigh. Look, what I just told you, that's what Toyama told me when I was first starting out. There were times he'd have me do dozens of rewrites. At first, I thought he was just pushing me around. But after rewriting things over and over, I realized something. There are a whole lot of ways you can write about the same thing. Ain't that the truth? Man. And that's what helped me hone my skills as a writer. Chiaki raised her head back up. Oh, wow, really? If you can get that, then stick with it. Ride your submission deadline as close as you have to in order to write the best piece you can. Okay, I can do it. I will do it. Finally, Chiaki's face brightened with a smile. That's the spirit. The woman might have talent, but she hadn't realized it yet. She needed to be able to stick to an assignment even when things got tough. If she didn't have that kind of resolve, She'd never make it as a freelancer. Oh, how touching, Ozu chimed in, applauding. I'm almost moved to tears. They'll make a movie of this for sure. See, we had only been acquainted with that sad sap Toyoma. We never knew there was such an upstanding fellow here who was so good at tough love. Minokawa shot to his feet and pounded his fist on the desk. That's about enough from the peanut gallery. Hold your tongue, Sagawa snarled. His eyes shone with a vicious gleam. We're getting sick of waiting here. Sagawa, you really are a short-tempered guy, aren't you? Ozu chuckled disapprovingly at his underling, and then slid a sheet of paper onto Murakawa's desk. Nevertheless, I'm afraid we do require a decision now. If you'll just stand here, we'll be on our way. Chiaki stared down at the document. Is this a bond of reconnaissance? Yeah, that's right. That's what you write when you're transferring a debt. Sagawa puffed himself up proudly. Minokawa silently looked over the contract. If you don't have a stamp, we'll gladly accept the signature as well, Ozu pointed out. Face it, pal, Sagawa added. If you don't hurry up and sign, we're never going to stop going after Toyama's daughter. Minokawa snatched up a pen. Mr. Mino, you can't do this. Think about what you're doing, Chiaki shouted. If you go through with this, you'll just wind up like Mr. Toyama. I won't. Yes, you will. Just who the hell do you think I am? I'm Minoru Minokawa, darn it. I'm going to land so many scoops it will make your head spin. And I'm going to pay back this debt and rebuild Heaven Publishing. But why would you take such a risk? Chiaki sobbed. Minokawa lowered his voice. Because I owe him so much. I can't stand by and let these scumbags kill his daughter. Aha! Before Minokawa could sign, Sagawa startled him with a sudden exclamation. Looking up, Minokawa saw that the loan sharks had seen little Hannah standing by the door. Get her! On it, boss. Ozu and Sagawa rushed at the girl. Run! Minokawa shouted. Hannah bolted right back out the door, but Ozu managed to snatch her up just as she reached the stairs. Let's be on our way, shall we? A vile grin came to Ozu's cruel face as he headed down the stairwell. Stop! Let her go! Shucks! Minokawa rushed after them trying to grab the girl, but Sagawa drove a punch right into his face. Ooh! The pain staggered him. Nevertheless, he managed to press on. Get your hands off that girl. Shut your mouth. Something hard slammed into his chest. His vision went dark. He felt himself slipping from consciousness. Just before he blacked out, he heard Hannah's voice. "I'm sorry, Uncle Minokawa." Sorry? No, I'm the one who should apologize. But before his thoughts got any further, Minokawa passed out. Bad ending. Hannah gets caught. Hannah showed up at the office only to get caught by the money launderers, and Sagawa drop-kicked Minokawa into unconsciousness when he tried to save her. It turns out Hannah had been at the police station just before this, trying to decide if she should tell the police her father had been killed in the explosion, that someone brought her to Heaven Publishing, which was clearly a mistake. Also, okay, we have to go back to Kano's story. Shucks. So I gotta go back to Kano's story and fix that. That's something, isn't it? Well, let me go back to it's Kano's story. Because you go, what happens is you go visit Kano. I mean, you go visit, you leave to go visit to the hospital, and then you run into, what's her name? I think you should hold back for now. Oh, no, not this one. The next one. Huh? But nobody picked up. Perhaps she'd gone to the hospital. With that in mind, Kano called up Shibuya Central Hospital and asked them to transfer him to Mr. Sasayama. After a little while, a woman's voice came through the receiver. "Yes, this is Mr. Sasayama. My name's Shinya Kano. I work with your husband on the force. What happened?" He didn't know what to say. Couldn't find. "I wish that I'd been there when he'd gone to make the arrest," he blurted out at last. "I should have tried to get there and back him up sooner. If I hadn't been too late." He trailed off, hoping he hadn't said too much. Sasayama's wife answered in her gentle, quavering voice. "Thank you so much for your concern. I'm glad that my husband is lucky enough to have a colleague like you. No, I couldn't. I married a detective, Mr. Kano. I prepared myself for the possibility that something like this might happen." But she certainly didn't sound like she was prepared. Kano felt a biting pain in his chest. Your husband gave me something to hold on to for you. I'd like to give it to you if I can." "Oh, well, certainly, but I'd like to stay here by his side today if possible." "Of course. I'll head on over to the hospital myself then. I hope you don't mind if I pay a visit." "Oh, of course not. Sorry to trouble you like this. Thank you so much." Kano hung up, then hurried out of the precinct. Oh my God. Wrong decision again. So you supposed to call a roomie? several times before it went to voicemail. The fact that she hadn't picked up made Kano even more anxious. He was still staring at his phone when he got a call from on his own. When he peered at the incoming call display, his heart nearly stopped. It was Tatino's name. Kano quickly pressed the button to accept the call. Oh, and then it goes straight into this. Oh, I see. So then that's going to make him go straight to the building instead of going to the hospital. Thus, Hannah we won't take Hannah to Heavenly Publishing and she won't get abducted. Gotcha. That's why that's the right choice. I'm going to say, what does Rumi have to right now? All right, we already seen this part. Basically, I'm going to stop it here. Because we know what's going to happen. Alright. You've already saw this last video. His past. We saw this the last video. This is just be re-showing it all over again. Basically, it's the same, but we're just cutting out the part where we take Hannah to Heaven Publishing on the way to the hospital. But as you get to the hospital, you get the call from, what's her name? Yeah, see, it's the same thing. Just without that piece. That puzzle piece. Alright guys, thanks for watching. My name is Raven from the Sky. If you enjoyed the episode, drop a like and subscribe to the channel and the series grow. Take care and I'll catch you guys in the next episode, alright? Peace out.